Ooh, it looks like I'm a floating head. All right, let's share this. Hello. Yeah, I'll get to you. I'll get to the video in a second. I want to post it a couple places. All right. Hello, everybody. Pardon me for a second. Still a little coffee from that flu I had. So, as I was saying earlier, I ran out of the medicine that I normally use that keeps the pain away and keeps me awake. So I'm either in a lot of pain or incredibly tired, and it's been really hard to sit down and write. So what I am doing is I'm going to do my analysis for today. This way, for the games that I didn't cover, and I'll go over the games that I did cover already in the article since I only did 2 games. So I'm going to get to that. Feel free to ask questions, although we'll see how much energy I have at doing those. I really am so sleepy. So game one is Philly OKC. Last I have Philly 7-point favorites, 110 to 103. The play I have here is Joel Embiid. The reason for that is the Thunder are weak basically against one position, and that is center. If you look at the DVP rankings, for example, Oklahoma City is way better than average against every position except center, where they are slightly worse than average. Average is giving up 51.9 points per game, and they are at 52 points per game on FanDuel, excuse me. I want to get you the numbers on DraftKings because it is different with the addition of double bonus points. So I like to give those numbers instead. On DraftKings, average is 51 DraftKings points per game to a center, and Oklahoma City gives up 51.6. So, again, not a tremendous amount above average, but when they are giving up 1 or 2 points less than average to all other 4 positions, it's going to be Embiid who you're going to go to. On top of that, as I explained, he should be $10,000 no matter what. Thank you, Nick. I appreciate it. Embiid should be 10,000 no matter what every game. He's 9,400 in a game that they're going to need to rely on him even more. So I just think that it sets up really, really well for him to be the main guy. On the other side, I'm not going to really have a lot of people. If this were a smaller slate, I said, I might take a chance on some dudes, but Philly's defense is it's just way too legit. If you look at, and again, I have to get the site to load here. If you look at value, and I talk about value all the time, because it's significantly important. And as far as a metric, I think that encapsulates a lot of the defensive statistics that you really want to know. The value added thing that I found on Basketball Monster is really, really helpful. Here, I'm going to post a link to it here. Thank you, Atomic City. Me too. The problem is it comes in at random times. So it'll come in like once every 2 months. So my basic goal is to save up enough money in those 2 months to buy 2 months supply. And then in this 2 month supply, 6 of the ones I got were defective. So that takes away like a week of medicine from me, and they still haven't gotten in anything. So it's just a waiting game. You know how it is. But anyway, that's the ease rankings that I just posted from Basketball Monster. Is basically the value as I describe it. I use different words than them because they're just giving you raw numbers, and I'm trying to explain what those numbers mean. And this is, as I've said, like a companion to defense versus position information. It basically goes and takes that and then dives more in depth and explains why you might see certain DVP information. And the good thing about the ease rankings, or the value rankings as I call them, is you can look at whole team and then you could go position by position, which really is one of the best tools, and it's free in fantasy basketball, especially in DFS. So uh, again, if you're looking at Philadelphia in terms of added value as a team, they remove 6% from your points, 19% from your 3-pointers, 10% from your rebounds, and 6% from your assists. The assists numbers, they're second. Their rebound numbers, they're first. The 3-point numbers, they're first. The point numbers, they're second. And that is, again, they are not a boost to anything. Like, they're just a stifling defense. So when I see a team like that, on when I see a team like that, my instinct is, I don't want to play them, but you never want to rule anything out. So, you look for injuries, you look for some kind of value that's opened up, and there just isn't any of that. I'm sorry. So I look at OKC as a pass today. That's why. Moving to the next one. The next game is Indy Charlotte. You know what? Let me get the most. Hey, that's no problem, man. That's what I'm here for. And I want to be able to do this even if I can't write and I have to take whatever steps I have to take. You know what I mean? Like, this is what I have to do. I'd rather to type it out, but it just doesn't always work out that way. But thank you. I appreciate it. I do this for you guys. I don't want anyone to ever doubt that. Next game is Indy Charlotte. Right now, I have the over-under at 208.5, which is the lowest of the day by 4 points. Second place is Brooklyn Orlando at 212 and Oklahoma City Philly at 212. So 4 points, the only game under 210. And Indy is projected to win 106.75, Charlotte 101.75. So in terms of that, there's actually a lot of people I do like in this game. Primarily, though, given it's a 9-game slate, you don't want to just go picking a whole bunch of mediocre dudes. You want to take the people that have the best chance. And so there are 3 people I think have the best chance in this game of giving you a 7 or 8 times value that you really want if you want to win the tournament or any tournament today. The first is Domantas Sabonis. The obvious reason for that is my lock spots. If you've been reading my article, I talk pretty often about lock spots. Lock spots are not a reflection of the individual player I'm recommending, right? A lock spot is a reflection of the defense. So, as I often say, a small forward against Atlanta is a lock spot. That's not because the small forward is fantastic. It's because Atlanta can't defend against small forward. So if you are playing small forward and you're against Atlanta, that is a lock spot. And I want to make sure that the first thing I lock my eyes on is that guy. And if he is viable, I am going to run the hell out of him. So that being said, one of my favorite lock spots, I was talking about it the first week of the year, is centers or power forwards against Charlotte. Bigs in general, Charlotte has a huge problem with. Even though Biyombo has been surprisingly top 10 in the individual DRPM ratings this year. Every other year, he's been, bottom two, bottom three among centers, as has Cody Zeller, as has Hernan Gomez. So the Hornets basically have three tall players, with PJ Washington joining the mix and being near the bottom himself so far this season. We have these guys who just cannot defend bigs. So the numbers have been there to support that all year round. As I talked about in my article, if you look at what Charlotte allows to power forwards, where Sabonis is going to be today, while Miles Turner mans center, they add 7% to points, 12% to three-pointers, 6% to rebounds, 13% to assists, and 6% to field goal percentage, which is a huge number. When Sabonis, when Brogdon is out, and Sabonis is going to be the lead dog anyway, Will Barton, yeah. Oh, yes. Will Barton is one of my lock spots today, for sure. Hold on one second, guys. Sorry. Sorry, I don't know how to mute the microphone. I have to figure out how to do all this. Oh, there's the thing I could do with. Okay, I figured that out. So next time I have to cough, I have that thing on the thing I could do. Sorry, I'm not, I'm good at talking. I'm not good at this video stuff, as you can see. Yeah, so I'm too sleepy, and there's only 2 hours until lock. So I want to do the article stuff that I had ready, but I'm just not gonna have time. Ooh, gangsta. That's a tough one. For the price, probably, but overall, absolutely not, especially with Kemba. But that's a really tough one. Hey, Jamie, it's my pleasure. It really is. But anyway, let me go back to doing the analysis, and hopefully I can get to some questions at the end. I have no problem if you're playing GPP. I want to make this clear, because this is something that people ask me. Do you have a problem with my lineup if I skip this person or this person? I believe that there's no person you absolutely need to have in your lineup like that every day. I mean, it might eventually be, the case when, after the slate plays itself out, oh shit, I needed Luka to cash, right? Oh shit, I needed Harden that day because Harden put up, 165 points somehow. But, the idea is going in, the game theory would say that if you can look at your lineup and project, everybody combined to get 300 points without Luka and Giannis, rock that out, man. Because I tell you what, people, especially in the NBA, are greatly predisposed to a stars and scrubs build. So even when certain places, will project a Luka or a Giannis to have a 12% ownership, most of the time they're up at like 15 or 16%, because people, again, I don't know why, are predisposed to stars and scrubs builds. I guess they're trying to play the ceiling game instead of understanding that, there's going to be a lot of dudes on a 9-game slate who are priced, 7,500, 8,000, with the upside of someone that's an 11K dude. We're going to see someone like a Sabonis get 60, 70 points today. We're going to see someone like that push 8, 9 times. So I think it's totally feasible to have a lineup that does not have Luka or Giannis today. But yeah, I think I'm waiting for the Beal news myself. That's going to be a really huge one. Leonard Biyombo, I would play Biyombo, and I'm going to get to that in a second too. So yeah, Sabonis is 8,600. If Sabonis were 10,200 today, he would be like, oh, I think I'm gonna have some run on Sabonis. 8,600 is just a joke. So not only is he in a lock spot, but he's grossly underpriced, and he's going to be the main way the Pacers are going to win this game. This is one of those games when, if he puts up a 30-20, I'm not going to be surprised at all. And again, he's priced low enough that he could give you 60, 70 DKP when someone else that's 11.5 or 12K or in that price range, it's just not going to give you the same uh, mid-priced options. Playing a Sabonis over someone who's incredibly expensive can give you the edge for a more balanced and higher scoring lineup. If there are enough people that give you that mid-priced value, and we're going to get over to that. So on the other side, there are two people I like as well, Devonte Graham and Bismack Biyombo. And I talked about this. Again, the only other part of my article I published is this right now. Devonte Graham has shown you 55, 60 DraftKings point upside many, many times this year. And one of the times that he seems to be the most effective, and I will say that this has not happened enough that I'm calling it like a sure thing. So I don't want you to think it's a sure thing, but I try to pay attention to a lot of different things. And one of the things that I have been paying attention to is the games where the Hornets are going against a team that is bad against point guards, but good against shooting guards, or vice versa. Good against point guards and bad against shooting guards, and seeing how Graham and how Rozier wind up doing, because they're sharing the court a lot of time, and it's basically like really a 2-point guard scenario. So the real question is, if they're going against a team that is weak against point guards, is there a difference if they're going against a team that's weak against shooting guards and strong against point guards? And again, while I don't think it is a lock by any stretch, so far, what I have seen is that when you have a team that is weaker against the point guard and stronger against the shooting guard, Graham does have a noticeable boost. And at that point, I'm going to have more of Devonte Graham. So with Brogdon out, you've noticed the defense of the Pacers get significantly worse when it comes to both the DVP and the value rankings, which shows me that Aaron Holiday is just not equipped in the same way. TJ McConnell, who's questionable anyway, is just not equipped to do the same job that Brogdon can do on the other side of the ball, which no one should be surprised at. But the main beneficiary of that is not going to be Aaron Holiday today. The main beneficiary of that is going to be Devonte Graham, who again just had 55 DKP last game and is still only 7,700. I know it's a tough matchup. I know the Hornets are projected to get one of the lowest totals, but again, I'm not going to have him in 100% of my lineups. But if I play 20 lineups and Devonte Graham is going to be 5% owned, that would mean I would, if I were in the field, have him in one lineup of the 20. I would more likely have him in 3 or 4 of my lineups. I really like Devonte Graham today. I really do. And I think that he does have the upside that the field just hasn't gotten on yet for some reason. Give me a second. Caffeine free. The way nobody likes it. In addition, if you look at value and DVP, and pardon my son, he's playing Plants vs. Zombies on the iPad in the other room, and he really likes yelling and pretending he's one of the plants and or zombies. Oh, I know. I have to. It's after the flu, my throat gets really raw. And it just hurts like hell, and water doesn't help that at all. So I have ginger ale and caffeine-free Diet Pepsi to help with the throat. So after it goes to that, I have a water cooler thing that we got a little bit ago. It's helped me lose a bunch of weight. Always work and improve yourself, even if you can't move. Don't say you can't do it. Anyway, oh, sorry. You could probably hear it's still there in my lungs. one of the beneficiaries of Marvin Williams being out, as I talked about, um, is we're seeing Cody Zeller play more 4 than 5. And that is why Biyombo last game got 37 minutes. Now, I don't think he's going to get 37 minutes again, but I wouldn't be surprised if he gets you 32 or 33. And again, if you're looking at DVP, which is very important, as long as it's part of a full picture, it's obviously not going to tell you everything. Indiana is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, eighth best overall when it comes to limiting fantasy production. They are well better than average against every position except for centers. And centers, of course, the page stops loading and you have to resend because that is just how it works. And now it's gone. Uh-oh. Is my internet dying? Are you guys there? Hello. Okay, good. It's not my internet dying. I think I just have to reload the page. I believe they were 6th worst against centers, the Pacers, which is surprising given how normally stout Miles Turner is, but he just has not been playing well this year. So right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th, excuse me. That's why I wanted to double check. Still, they're 7th worst against centers, even though, they're 6th or 7th best in the league at preventing fantasy points in general. That tells me that if you are going to attack them with centers. And Biyombo is only 4,300 today. So he's not someone, again, I'm locking onto as in every lineup play. But if you are stuck and you need someone in the low 4,000s, you need a center in that range, do not rule out Biyombo today. I don't think he's going to get the ownership he deserves, especially again with Marvin Williams out and Cody Zeller playing more backup 4, giving Biyombo more run at the 5. Again, I don't expect 37 minutes, but it is what it is. Moving on, this is taking way too long. I'm at 20 minutes long. I wanted to do a half-hour video. Next up is Boston, Washington. This game currently sits at the Vegas total of 226.5. Boston projected to win 117.5 to 109 for Washington. As far as I have seen, and maybe I'm wrong here, I'll double check now, we still do not know the status of Mr. Brad Beal. Brad Beal is still questionable. And that's basically where this whole game is going to come down to. And I hate to be quick with it, but if Brad Beal is not in this game, the odds of the Wizards being able to hang with the Celtics is significantly less. And I have no problem taking significantly less of this game because of it. There's just, the Wizards are absolutely decimated. Even worse, because decimated means only losing 10%, and they have damn near 40% of their roster injured right now and unable to play. So, Hachimura isn't playing, Bryant isn't playing, Bertans isn't playing, Wagner isn't playing. They don't have any bigs. They have a bunch of small guys who have done really well and have been contributing in different ways. But again, the problem there is, Thomas and Smith and Brown and McRae and Payton and Garrison Matthews and to a degree Admiral Schofield. All of these guys are kind of fighting for limited small guy minutes. All of the injuries here are injuries that are big guy injuries. Like I said, Hashimura, Bryant, Bertans, Wagner, they're all playing power forward or center. So, pardon me again. Geez, I'm so sorry. I'm trying my best. So when you have that, you can find the value with Mahimi, but I don't want to do that against Boston. And the problem is you can find the value with the small guys, but Brad Beal has missed enough games now that they're not exactly, priced at a tremendous value. Brown getting 6,100 is nuts. Ish Smith is the backup, 5,700, because Isaiah Thomas played 1 minute the other game and Smith went nuts. McRae is not bad, and I'm going to have McRae if Beal winds up missing, but McRae at 5,700 if Beal plays is just a crazy price. Beal at 8,500 though, I would be all over. He is a 50 DKP a game player. I don't care against who. He has that upside in him. So Beal is priced very well, but if he's in, I don't really want a lot of the other players in Washington because there's a glut at the position. Let me check his minutes again. I went in wanting to play Cantor so bad, and then it was the price that I looked at. Yeah, no, I don't mind playing him in GPPs because Washington was one of my first lock spots. Center against Washington was one of my first lock spots. But if you look at the information now, the Wizards have actually been significantly better against centers with Mahinmi starting and playing because he is been a top 10 center in terms of the individual defensive ranking this season, which is shocking. But what that means is that I am moving away from centers against Washington and trying to play basically everyone else against Washington if the game is going to be close enough or if they're priced well. So basically, again, to look at this game and sum it up, if Bradley Beal plays, I'm going to have some Bradley Beal and almost no one else on the Wizards. If he doesn't play, I do like McRae at his price. And after that, Peyton at 42 and Isaiah Thomas at 41 are too cheap for the upside and the minutes they should get. But again, if Bradley Beal doesn't play, my exposure to Boston is going to be significantly less. Marcus Smart, I'm going to have a ton of no matter what at 5,200 because he's going to get enough minutes to pay off that and then some against this Washington team. But in terms of the expensive guys, the Tatum and the Brown and the Hayward, the guys that are 7,000 and over, I'm going to limit my exposure. But I would have extra, Wanamakers. You know what I mean? I would have extra of the backup blowout guys that I talk about a lot. And Wanamaker is a great example of one of the prime players to pick today. If Bradley Beal is out at 3,800, he may get the entire fourth quarter. Man, I really do like him. But if Bradley Beal plays, I don't expect him to get as much run, but still 3,800 for him today is too cheap against a Wizards team that's just hemorrhaging points to everybody except for centers lately. So Bradley Beal plays. I'm going to want to have some Tatum, some Brown, some Hayward. My favorite would be in that order, Tatum, then Brown, then Hayward. I just think that in terms of the way they are offensive threats, that's the order it's going to be. And this is going to be one of those, trickle down effects where whoever can get the ball the most is just going to get the ball the most because it's not like anyone's going to try to stop them. It's the Wizards, right? So at that point, I think Tatum's going to take the lead with Kemba out, and then Brown and Hayward are going to fight for number 2. And I think all of them, again, if Beal plays and this game stays close, all of them have a chance to exceed value. All 3 of them can give you 40 to 50 DKP today. It's just a question of if Beal plays or not. At which point, that's going to be a major factor, and we only have probably a half hour until that news is out because that's a 7:00 game, and I would expect that the new 5:30 now. They're supposed to announce the first batch, and then 6:30 we'll have the official news. So next up we have Orlando and Brooklyn. The current Vegas information has this as the second lowest game. I believe I said before 212.5. With Orlando 5-point favorites, 108.75 to 103.75. This is another one that I'm not. There are some spots in here that I'm going to want to take advantage of. If you see the Brooklyn Nets on the on the slate, you're going to want to look at the point guard and you're going to want to look at the center of the opponent, which means Vucevic. I can never pronounce it right. Vooch. I'm going to call him Vooch. Nikola Vooch at 8,300 is, like Sabonis, an absolute joke in terms of pricing today. Vooch should be 10K against the Nets. The Nets just cannot defend centers. They got DeAndre Jordan to help sturdy up the position, and now he is the fifth worst center by DRPM rankings, according to ESPN and their advanced metrics. So even Jordan playing significant minutes at center cannot save the Nets at center. So yeah, Vooch, fantastic play today. And then you could look at Fultz and you could look at Augustine. Fultz is not doing as much as I would like in terms of production. Augustine, on the other hand, last game, 12 DKP. I love it because it actually decreased his salary from 5,000 to 4,800, which 2 games ago against Miami, a tougher team, he got 25 DKP. The game before that against Washington, who is, I would say, equitable to where the Nets are against point guards, he got 46.75 DKP. The game before that against Atlanta, Trae Young, one of the worst defenders in the NBA overall, not just for point guards, he got 33.25 DKP, 30 minutes, 3 of those games. Getting 12 against Utah is not shocking. What's shocking is the fact that he's only 4,800 for someone playing point guard against the Nets at home, projected to get 30 minutes. So yeah, I love Augustin as well today. Fultz, you can, like I said, you can take a chance on him. He's just not doing enough in terms of shooting, and it's not really his fault. If you are starting the game next to Fournier and Gordon and Vooch, your usage is going to be significantly lower than it would be otherwise. Meanwhile, Augustin gets to come in and basically command the second unit and still wind up getting enough run with the first unit, to pad the assist numbers and get everything else that he needs. So I will get to them. Do not worry. But again, I have to cough and then take a sip. Excuse me. And again, pardon me, but man, my throat hurts. That's the other issue with the medicine. It's, man, you have to do it so much. It just hurts your throat. It really does. Excuse me. So the issue is I don't really want other people from Orlando to get back into it. So I'm going to have Augustine. I'm going to have Vooch. Not really going to have anyone else. And then Orlando is one of the teams like Philly, like the Lakers. They're one of the few teams that are better than average against every single position. So like I was saying when I started the video out, what you would want to do there is basically say, gut reaction, don't really want to take anybody. Let's see if there's anybody priced at enough of a discount. And really, there isn't. Dinwiddie at 7,900 is fine. I think he has the 50 DKP upside that he shows you all the time. I don't mind having a run on him in GPPs, but it's just no one here is priced sufficiently for the matchup. If you're going to take a chance on anyone, I've told you many, many times, Fournier is the guy you want to attack. He is a terrible defender. So generally, I'll take a shooting guard every once in a while or prioritize a shooting guard that I shouldn't against Orlando. So that would be Joe Harris today. Fournier just cannot defend against the perimeter. So that kind of lines up really well for the guy who won the 3-point shooting contest last year in the All-Star game. Moving on, we have Denver and Atlanta. This game was 9 points last I checked. Now it is 7.5. Ooh, Atlanta closed the gap. 223 right now. Denver 115.25 to Atlanta 107.75. I fear there's going to be too much ownership on this game, and I don't like it. I really, really don't like it. There are some places you want to attack, right? First of all, like I've always said, and like I've been hammering, small forwards against Atlanta, lock them in. So play Will Barton today. I'm going to go check his price now. Whatever it is, though, I can't imagine that it's nearly high enough. 7,100, damn, that's a lot. Will Barton is going to beat that today. He'll get you 6x. Will Barton, if this game stays close, it's Will Barton I love. Is Murray is probable now, and Millsap I assume is probable too. Yeah. All right. So Barton, absolutely love him. Going to have a ton of them. Also love taking people that line up against Trae Young. As I said, his defense is poor, and that's being very unkind to poor defensive people. So Jamal Murray, who has been flip-flopping with Jokic for the number one usage on this team, is actually a lot sneakier a play. And then, the Hawks just aren't a good defense. So there's just, and then Denver is a very good team. So I think that what winds up happening, this is something you guys might not know. So I will share this with you. Vegas basically gives you 3 points for being at home in their totals, right? So let's take a look at the Denver Atlanta game, right? Denver Atlanta right now is Atlanta plus 7.5. That means that if this were in a neutral location, Atlanta would be projected to lose by 10.5. And if this were in Denver, Atlanta would be projected to lose by 13.5. So one of the things that I often wind up asking myself is, if I think that the home field advantage is going to be worth a 6-point swing, like, do I think Denver is going to be 6 points worse in Atlanta than they otherwise would be? Are they that kind of team? And I don't think they are. So Denver's one of the teams that I think present a much higher blowout risk than Vegas is indicating, even with the spread closing up. There's sometimes I don't trust the home field advantage as much. And sure, I like Atlanta and the state of the health of their team right now. Having Young and Collins in the lineup together is great, even if Parker is gonna still be out with his illness. They're a solid offensive team, but they cannot defend paper sack, and that's just something that is going to plague them. So while they might make some games a little more interesting, I don't think a game against Denver, who's going to be fighting, well, I don't think they're going to be fighting for the 1 seed this year, but they'll be fighting for the 3 or 4 seed probably. Denver's a very good team. Atlanta is not. So, am I going to have some exposure to Jokic? Yeah. 9,200 is just too cheap. Am I going to have some exposure to Murray? Yeah, absolutely. Again, just too cheap for the matchup. Barton, I'm going to pound the shit out of no matter what. But other than that, meh. And then on the other side, it's the same thing. Denver is just a really solid defensive team. They are, again, one of the few teams that's better than average against every single position. So it's really hard to look at Atlanta, even though they're at home, and say, damn, I love anybody on this team, especially with Collins coming back. The only guy that I would really be over the field on is Collins, because 7,500 is just a ludicrously low price. Excuse me. Now, that goes against my don't mess with Paul Millsap philosophy, but, Collins is a 9K player. He's down to 75 because of the injury on DraftKings. So that's someone that you have to have at least some shares. I think that the effect of a back-to-back is overstated. I think that if the back-to-back is at home, then it's negligible. They've done the study on this. So I read a comprehensive study on this last year. If the back-to-back is at home, there's no effect, basically. And if the back-to-back is on the road, from road place to road place, there is a slight percentage point effect occasionally to whether or not you're going to hit the spread or hit your point total. But for the most part, it is really negligible. I think that if it's a back to back, that's part of a 3 and 4 where you're on the road and doing a lot of traveling, that's different. If it's a back to back, where you're forced to play a little earlier one of the days because it's a weekend, I think that will make a difference. But otherwise, this early in the season still, I don't think they're going to be, facing as much wear as people worry. Again, which isn't to say that it has no effect. It's to say that the effects are over assumed by the field, and that creates a better place for you to exercise leverage by not even considering it, really, unless it's a blatant thing that you're really going to see people talking about. Like if you wake up and play a 7 p.m. game in New York, and then the next day you're playing in LA, and there are going to be times when you'd see something like that, and I would make note of that. But otherwise, just ignore it. Really, just ignore it. Unless the guy's sitting completely, even coaches don't really limit the minutes. Maybe a minute or two. I believe that same study said last year you're seeing like a minute or two, maybe decrease in minutes, but even that was not enough of a sample size for me to say that that is not just a function of the way the game played or the different team that they were facing, et cetera, et cetera. As well as I do, that there's a multiple minute swing between these guys every game, what as it is. All right, let's move on. So yeah, John Collins, if you want to go there in Atlanta, I don't mind, but that's a price play. Other than that, no thanks. Next up is Utah Narlands. Let's see where this spread sits now. It is 221 with a 3-point spread. Utah 112, Narlands 109. I also don't believe that. I can't imagine New Orleans keeping this that close. Again, Utah is a very good defense. If you look at that's a power forward, not at everything. And of course, I need to reload that too. That is the only problem that I found with Basketball Monster, is that if you go and do something else for 5 minutes and then come back to it, the page will not let you alter it or change anything or highlight a different category or anything like that. So Utah is the 6th best defense. They are, again, one of the few defenses that are better than average against every single position. They are worst against center, as I've explained many times. I'm still trying to find out exactly why that is. I've asked everybody from DFS experts to beat writers to NBA analysts. Not that everyone's responded to me, because that would be hilarious, but I've asked them how you can balance something like Rudy Gobert being one of the, if not the best defensive center in the game, with the Utah Jazz being absolutely mediocre, if not bad, against centers year after year after year. And I think, again, just having watched it and thought about this, I think it has to do with the fact that Gobert is fantastic at guarding smaller people. Like if you are a guard or a small forward or someone trying to push the paint, Gobert is going to make your life a living hell. But if you're posting up on him and you're the same size or a couple inches bigger, I don't know if he is going to stop you as much as some other players might. Because again, every year, no matter how good Utah is against every other position, They are average or worse than average against centers. So the issue here is New Orleans. What the hell am I going to do with that information, right? Like, I'm going to get really high on Jahlil Okafor today. Like, Derek Favors at his 25 minutes. So yeah, if I'm going to go anywhere, it's going to be Derek Favors going back home. But the issue, or excuse me, Derek Favors playing against his old team because Utah's coming to New Orleans. But again, my problem with that is people overplaying narratives. So I think that Favors ownership today isn't going to be inflated because he's in a good spot, because he is in a good spot. I think he's going to be overowned because people are like, "Oh, Favors is going against his old team. I bet he really wants to show them what's going on." And I just don't think that that's a feasible way to build lineups most of the time. Favors is underpriced. Don't get me wrong, but Favors was playing power forward with Gobert at the center. So I don't think that, in a post-up situation, Favors is the kind of guy that's big and strong enough to really make Gobert pay. He's not an Embiid, for example. So he's in a good spot as far as people going against the Jazz because every other spot sucks. But really, it's hard to take anyone else from New Orleans. Everyone on Utah is solid defensively, and everyone else is just incredibly hard to trust. If you're going to go anywhere here, wait to see if Jrue Holiday. Oh, is he out? Oh, I thought he was questionable. Excuse me. I do apologize. Jrue Holiday is out. I thought he was still questionable. I was waiting news on that. I did not see that come through. Okay, so Jrue Holiday being out changes everything there. First of all, Lonzo Ball becomes a fantastic value, even with the Jazz being fantastic against guards. Ball is going to be running this game now. 7,000, I think, is going to keep people off of him. They're not going to realize that he has 55 DKP last game. He had 65 a couple of games ago. He had 37.5 2 games ago, which is still going to give you more than 5 times his salary. It's not as high as I would like, but it was against the Lakers, so that's even harder than the Jazz. And Jrue Holiday was playing then. So Lonzo Ball is actually a very good play today. It does give a boost to Ingram, but again, I think Ingram is more a price play and a usage play. I think 8,400 is too cheap for him, but again, man, I'm not playing him for the matchup. I'll tell you that much. And then I would also posit that you're going to see a sizable boost to the time on the court for Redick and Hart, meaning the 4,400 price tag on both of those guys is going to be too cheap. So give me Lonzo Ball as a great play today. Give me Hart and Redick as really nice punt-priced plays if you want to take a chance, and give me Ingram as a price play and a usage play, not necessarily someone that I think is a stone cold lock to perform. On the other side, New Orleans is an easy team to attack. They have a lock spot on them, point guard. Sorry, my son really gets into playing Plants vs. Zombies more than I've ever been into like anything in my entire life. That's a pretty incredible thing to say. With Conley out, I'm going to load up on Donovan Mitchell and Jordan Clarkson here. I think they're both going to get enough point guard run. They're both basically shooting guards who are going to be point guarding it up with Conley out. And I think that they're both going to be doing enough against New Orleans that you can't say no. New Orleans, again, New Orleans is to point guards what Atlanta is to small forwards, to make it a little more clear. New Orleans is just a fantastic team that absolutely cannot stop point guards. So I'm going to take that and run with it. And that means Donovan Mitchell and Jordan Clarkson. And then if you look at the rest of their DVP information, they're basically average or better than average everywhere except powered forward. But I'm not really big into taking like Inglis. His usage is spotty, and this is not a team that's going to make it, tough enough on the other players. I guess Royce O'Neal is playing power forward. Nah. Inglis plays enough power forward, even though he's a shooting guard, small forward. The Utah Jazz are a tough-ass team. They do a lot of crazy stuff with their rotations. Okay, anyway, let's move on because I wanted to stop this video like 20 minutes ago. Yeah, Jingles. Thad Young a lot. I do like Thad Young a whole lot. He is fantastic play today. He's going to get some serious minutes. I don't think I did Chicago yet, right? Did I do Chicago yet? No, I didn't. Good. So I'll get to Chicago. I can give Murray and Smart there. I think that Hart and Fox would be a lot more of a GPP play and a lot less owned. But man, I don't think Murray and Smart. That's a great two. I think they both have a great path to a lot of success. Olio, I've been going with Kleber. I've been just playing the hell out of Maxi Kleber over Powell. He's the one who's getting the minutes. He's coming in off the bench. I will say that. I also don't. I think Steven Adams that's not really going to affect Steven Adams, Noel being out. Let's see. Where else was I going here? I'm getting a lot of support, and I love all of you. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Let me take another sip here because of my throat. I think I have 3 games left. I'm going to keep trying to answer. I'm sorry. I'm going to keep trying to answer all your questions. I think I have to do some medicine. I'm sorry. The back spasms are starting again. Sorry, folks. I hate doing this on camera. I hate doing it in general, but I really hate doing it on camera. Let's move on to the next game while I do this. We got Milwaukee 5 for San Antonio. This game, I think, is going to go... I think it's going to go over-owned, which isn't to say get off it. I want to be very cautious with how I word this. So, okay, how do I put this in a better way? So Vegas has this game. What did I say? 228, right? 228. I would take a pretty hard under here. If I were, I've told you this before. So let me make this point again because I said this on Twitter. I don't think I've ever made a point of telling it to enough people or saying it on a video that a bunch of people are going to watch. I think one of the best things you can do is the night before the slate, before you start doing any work for a slate, before you do anything, even if you're not doing sports gambling, take a look at the NBA schedule, and then write down or type out, however you do it, who you think is going to win every game, what the total score is going to be, and then what you think the team totals are going to be. So, for example, you're looking at this slate last night. You see Philly is going against OKC, right? You see the game is in Philly. You probably say, or for me anyway, say this game's going to probably be around 215, 216 with Philly projected to win by 8 or 9 points. That would have been my guess going in with everyone being healthy. It turned out they think OKC is going to keep it closer. They think the game's not going to get quite there in terms of the total, but I think that that's helped me to understand what I'm doing and why I think things better, because then when you do look at the Vegas totals, you're kind of forced to think about why they may think about things differently. And since they're really the experts, they're the ones who make the most money doing it. You might try to figure out why or what they know that you don't, or what you might be missing that they're not. So I think that's a very good exercise. So when I was looking at this game yesterday, I thought this game would be in the 218 to 19 range. Normally, I'm not 10 points off of what Vegas thinks the total is going to be. If Lonzo Ball, excuse me, if Lonzo Ball is going to be low owned, hammer him, because that's crazy pants. That really is crazy. Anyway, what was I saying? I don't think I ever got a lineup in. So I think that this game, people are going to assume it's going to be close to 230. I think it's going to be closer to 220. Still, that being said, man, the pricing in it is just way too light. It. I know Kays is kind of pushing it the way his point per minute production is. But again, Giannis at 10-9 is going to be super expensive. No one stop him. And San Antonio is the weakest against against forwards. So, well, they're weaker the shorter you get, but Giannis plays everything and no one can stop him. And they can't stop forwards anyway. So I think this game is going to be a lot more risky of a blowout than people think. San Antonio's defense isn't that good. And I think this game is going to score a lot less points than people think. I think it's going to make the game. Hey, Peter North. My friend used to make crazy, weird references to you all the time. How you doing? That's a pleasure to meet you. That's fantastic. My friend made lots of weird references because he was 10 years older than me. That's the music scene for you. All right. What was I saying? So, yeah, if you want to have Giannis, have a bunch of Giannis. If you want to take LaMarcus, take a lot of LaMarcus. I've said it before, and I'll say it a million times. People are not quite on how bad the Bucks are to centers, or against centers, I should say. They increase points to centers by 24%. The world you expect. So basically, like, you take how many points LaMarcus Aldridge should score, and then you add 24% to it. You take how many threes LaMarcus Aldridge should score, then you add 74% to it. Add 6% to his rebounds, add 26% to his assists, add 4% to his field goal percentage. LaMarcus Aldridge, assuming he plays center and he's not play today as well for 7,500. Again, my only worry is that today as well. For 7,500. Again, my only worry is that this game is going to go over-owned, even though I think San Antonio is going to go overlooked, relatively speaking. And I don't know if it's going to stay that Aldridge whatsoever today. Terrible at centers. I got 2 games left. One is Dallas and Chicago. I'm being told that Markkanen is out, which is he's still questionable on here. Or was the question, if Markkanen is out, do I put him? It says Markkanen is out. Let me check the Twitter. Tuesday, Van Vliet out Tuesday, McCollum good from tomorrow, Hardaway probable today, McConnell available today, Kid Gilchrist, Beal is game time now. I still don't see anything definitive about Markkanen. So I'm going to, yeah, that's something that people talking about cheating. Sorry. I give the right information. If you are wrong, it's my job. I want to make sure I give the right information. If you are wrong, it's my job to make sure that I'm not disseminating incorrect information. So, Dallas, Chicago, I think going to be better than people think. So the issue here is that Chicago is basically power forwards, right? Chicago is as bad as you can get against bigs. There is no one worse against either position than Chicago, so there's no way anyone could be worse combined. If you then look at the small guys, no one is better than Chicago against point guards, and no one is better than Chicago against shooting guards. So you have the team that is by far the worst against bigs and by far the best against guards. And that kind of tells you exactly what you need to know and exactly how you need to attack this team, generally speaking. The problem with today is that Doncic, Luka, I'll just call him Luka. Luka is the point guard. He's not really normal, but Satoransky is a hell of a defender. Excuse me again. Oh, yeah, Chicago, not against bigs, though, Kevin. Against guards, though. I've been saying it as well. Satoransky changed everything about that defense. He is absolutely one of the best defenders in the NBA, and he really proves it every day. And you can just look at the DVP numbers and the value numbers to prove that point. So, yeah, Satoransky is good. So I think I'm going to have some Luka, but I'm going to be under the field. I think that I would have had like 90% Porzingis today if I could, but unfortunately, he's not playing. That means I'm going to be loading up on Kleber. Powell, I don't mind having some exposure to Powell. 3,900 is just a little too cheap for him, but it's not too cheap for his production, and it's not too cheap for what he's been getting. Last game, I'll just give you. He was against Charlotte, right? Charlotte is the second worst team against bigs, next to Chicago. He got 38 minutes as a center against Charlotte.
Daddy, you have to charge your boop.
I have to charge it?
Yeah.
Well, it's still at 10%. I'll charge it when it gets to 0, okay?
No.
Paulie, could you please just finish? I have to finish my video. See, look. You want to say hi to everybody?
Yeah. Hi.
That's my son. Little bathrobe. Say hi. All right, there you go. All right, sorry, folks. That's little bathrobe. Please, just when I finish the video, I'll call you back, and then I'll start charging it for you, okay?
No, be quiet over here.
No, will you promise? Because you're yelling noises in the other room.
Yeah, I totally promise.
Okay, you go ahead and sit down, buddy. I love him so much. Sorry, folks. So yeah, I'm against the Hornets, who I can't express enough how bad they are against centers. He got 38 minutes and he couldn't even get to 30 DKP. That is pathetic and shows you that they're basically trying to use him as like a defensive guy or a pick starter, whatever the hell he's doing. See, this is not Paul. It's not. Be quiet. Oh boy. So yeah, I'm going to be all over Maxi Kleber today. I'm going to have an absolute ton of them. And then on the other side, it is going to really come down to Markkanen. If Markkanen winds up playing, I'm going to have almost none of him at that price. 5,900 is quite a lot, especially considering that Maxi Kleber is top 10 defensively at his position as well. Porzingis is good, but Kleber is fantastic defender. So Markkanen at 5,900 is a lot harder to trust, but Thad Young, who's going to be getting 30 plus 5,900, is a lot harder to trust, but Thad Young, who's going to be getting 30 plus minutes at 3,700, I would have an absolute ton of. That's just also point out that Markkanen being out would push a decent amount of use. If you know any and all of the DVP numbers, which I've lost currently. There we go. Even though, excuse me, Dallas is good against guards, they're poor against wings generally, and not fantastic against the three generally. So if Mark stretch, it's not at 220 in Vegas, and I think it's going to stay a little, closer than people think. Even if Markkanen's, I really do. So have some Luka, but don't have as much. Absolutely. All right, last game. We got Sacramento and Golden State. There we go. Oh, hey! I like it. 4 of the Vegas totals for tomorrow came out while I was doing the video. Golden State and Sacramento. We'll get there. There isn't anybody out before port. Just if you're holding out anything for the last to port who's so just if you're holding out any last game, it's going to be tough because 8 other teams are going to have injury information. Plus, on top of that, Sacramento to blow this game out at home. This is actually the spread of the night. Sacramento projected to win by 10, 112 to 102. And that's not really a surprise. I mean, Golden State is just about as bad as you get, period. There's no reason to trust anything or anyone on that team to keep the game close. So I don't. So, am I going to have some Fox? Yeah, absolutely. Because in 3 quarters, given the way the Warriors have been playing defense, hit 3,200 again. It's tough for the blowout, the blowout possibility. But damn, he can get 50 today in 3.5 quarters if he gets 30 minutes. Am I going to have some Bielitsa? Yeah, I'm going to have some Bielitsa too. I think Bogdanovich has already been out, right? Yeah, Bogdanovich is out. So yeah, I'm going to have some extra Bielitsa today. Even that's a boost to Healed as well. So I think that there's a lot of plays to like on Sacramento because Golden State really is that terror. You know what I mean? Uh-oh. The internet went unstable. Can you guys hear me? What are you doing on the iPad? What game? Are you just playing a game? I wonder why it's doing that to my internet then. Sorry, folks. I'm trying here. Let's hide that. Maybe that'll help. Oh, okay, good. It says my connection is unstable. Please wait while we try reconnecting. And, okay. Yeah, so that changes then. I'm really going to be low on Chicago. I lost like 14 viewers and the warning came up, so I thought maybe I stopped streaming. All right, so all I have to do is talk about the Golden State side anyway. On the Golden State side, if you're going to play anyone, take Alec Burks, take Damian Lee, take Robinson. Those guys have been above and beyond the usage leaders. And take Eric Pascal if you don't mind risk, along with Kai Bowman. I don't trust those guys, but they are too cheap not to have at least some shares of in your GPP pool. So, all right. Anyway, I think that's it for all the games. So best of luck today, everybody. Sorry I had to do the analysis via the video. Sorry for my voice and everything else. Best of luck tonight, though, and I'll see you tomorrow. I'm going to get to work on tomorrow's article now. What do you mean main new platforms are talking about it? And I hope it's tonight about the influence there. Like, you have to understand, right? Like The Bachelor, and let me say something here. I'm not trying to make any accusations here, right? Because I don't think that at a corporate level, there's anything untoward going on. I think that people, the larger companies I'm talking about, I want to make that clear. But The Bachelor, right? And I just learned recently, this is people that were on The Bachelor or something like that. I don't know anything about these people. I don't watch any of that crap. But apparently these are people that were on The Bachelor. The Bachelor, which is ABC, right? ABC is owned by Disney, right? Disney, which owns a stake in ESPN and a stake in DraftKings. So why are employees of the parent company allowed to play? Like, normally you have rules against things like that. Like if I think is going to hold the industry back, because the one thing you don't want is this idea of impropriety, right? Like you don't want this to be like shady gambling. You don't want this to be like a bookie trying to take advantage of you, right? Yeah, Jamie, you're absolutely right. It's something that is a bad public look. It's a bad, and it's bad for all the companies involved. You know, the people want a million, especially for someone like me who's really, I'm an above the board guy. I'm not lying or cheating or anything, but I don't like people that do. I don't like people that take advantage of other people. That's why I don't like FanDuel and their no late swap. I think that that's a blatant attempt for them to steal money from people by saying, "Oh no, 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 we don't want to do anything." You know, hey, it happens. What are we gonna do? Meanwhile, they have late swap on other sports, and every other site has late swap for NBA. So when someone gets declared out a half hour before game time at 10 p.m., you're not stuck taking a zero, and they don't care because people play anyway. And if the people are going to give them money and then waste that money with added risk of people being played out, yeah, that's Jamie. That's exactly. It's going to be a fan appreciation, 25 cent. Yeah, you'll win, like someone will win $1,000, and they're going to be like, "Oh, it's okay then." Anyway, thank you all for watching today. And until my normal medicine comes back in, I might have to rely on these videos a little more, and I hope you don't mind it. I'll try to figure out a way to get better lighting. I don't really know. I'm just doing this on the laptop, so I'm trying. I'm trying my best, folks. I'm sorry, but I do love you. I do appreciate you all. I really do. Thank you all for joining me. Best of luck tonight. Let's kick some ass. Let's win some money for folks, right? I'll see y'all tomorrow.